Good morning, Bookmap peeps. It's been a while since we've been here with a lot of holiday shutdowns and stuff like that, but it's 10:30 Eastern Time, July 10th, Wednesday, and today is Bookmap. So we have a nice little slow grind up session after session here, and they're making most of the moves overnight. What we're beginning to see is strong move overnight, although slow, and then consolidation during the session. And we're dealing with that consolidation during the session. Makes for a little boring trading, but that's the summertime, typically. Last year wasn't necessarily so boring during the summer, but most of the time that's what we have to deal with, is a boring summer. And today and this week is no exception. We have liquidity 2800, 825, 837 here. We have top wicks and bottom wicks galore. We have a little bit of exhaustion type look here, but overall the bottom wicks are still occurring at 2750 on NASDAQ and roughly 5640 on ES. Gold is still rejecting their top and coming off here. Didn't quite get into resistance. RTY is coming off new low of the day. YM is also low of the day. Overall, there's not really an outlier. If you look at all the X's right now, the biggest winner today is 0.68 and the biggest loser is 0.26 negative. So we don't have a huge, colossal skewed move. NVIDIA is up 2%, but they did most of that in pre-market, and even in the world of NVIDIA, that's pretty small. Usually it's 4, 5, 6%. So pretty mute day overall. We are showing some signs of a little bit of weakening buyers on the daily, a couple of top wicks, but we still managed to grind higher. But it's a game of waiting here. A game of waiting. Overall. Slow stuff. You should be able to see the Bookmap stream on Discord, so if you're tuning into the Discord stream, there you go. Big volume in XLK, nice. You see this little cat here, 367 rolled up to 65.55. That's 10 points higher, and that would put us nearly on the GEX. There's a GEX level up there on SPX. Who the crap is that? One sec. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Been fun calling it a day. Nice, Lord. Good job. All right, so oil just had their inventories here 4 minutes ago. Not really moving all that much. We did have a little shaking and baking on the 5-minute, but their inventory showed. What did they show here? Larger draw, so a little bit more demand for oil coming up. Higher demand. 81.71. But so far what I'm seeing here is a vast expanse of nothingness on ES liquidity. They did roll up this iceberg to 367, so we'll keep an eye on that. I would not be surprised to see them make one more little jot up there on ES into 10, 12 points higher, and then an afternoon sell maybe to reach that little bit of a top wick there. Overall, I'll be watching the power hour very closely to kind of look for any kind of macro thesis change from the bullish side down to the red side. So far, it's all green stuff out there. One of these days, the XLK and XLF will be the same direction. I'm glad you said that, Uber Toyota. The difference in price action that we've seen the past week or two is that we have not seen a full correlated market. We haven't had a day where everything is just steaming ahead green. It's usually one or two names at least are heavily red, or the general market is red while tech is just beasting along. And it makes it for slower, choppier action. Even on a trend, it's a little bit slower. We haven't had just a rage fest day where everything is bright red or everything is bright green. So that's what we have to do. That's why I was saying it's difficult. It's a fantastic market for long-term traders, and a very difficult market for short-term traders like scalpers, because a lot of us are anticipating maybe some profit taking. We're not sure if this crazy trend is going to keep going, that type of thing. Makes it a little bit more difficult. $24.5 is coming off right here. We'll see if ES can drop below this area, but so far no dice. When you talk about low volume, how do you determine what low volume is? High volume is volume a good indication? Is volume moving average a good indicator? Are you talking about like VWAP and stuff? Volume weighted average price? So when I talk about volume, I'm talking about the actual transacted volume of a name. ES, NASDAQ down there, the red, green candles, that type of thing. So when I'm monitoring volume, I'm usually doing it on the daily, weekly, and I'm going to look for the overall macro shift in the direction of the volume. Are we having an uptick in sell days, an uptick in buy days? Are we having dropping off of volume overall? That type of thing. I want to analyze volume relative to the current environment. So the volume we experience now is not the same amount of volume we experienced in like March of 2020, but it could be high for the current environment that we're in. Right now, we're in a very low period of volume. In fact, last week's volume candle, which was a holiday week, even though we blasted like 800 points on NASDAQ, was one of the lower candles we've had this year. There was only like 2 or 3 candles, or maybe one or two candles lower than the volume we had last week on the weekly chart. So we are in a period of low volatility. It's the midsummer months, which is typically choppier and lower volume anyway, but the market continues to grind higher. And that just tells me two things. One, it's a lack of sellers and maybe not necessarily a strength in buyers, just a complete lack of selling. And two, the overall market is doing a great job of rotating. It's a very efficient market right now. It's a very efficient market because the market is able to sell off half the names and buy up the other half to keep the indices going, and vice versa. When one goes down, the other goes up. When one goes up, the other goes down. A very inefficient market is when things are just blasting out of control in one direction, and it's just usually euphoria buying or fear selling, one of the two, and they can't really stop one way or the other. So we're just kind of grinding up and up and up and up on lower volume, which is a great time to be a long-term investor. I read an article and I kind of made a tweet about it last week that we are in a very interesting time where there's so much capital in our economy being created so fast, one can't even fathom us actually entering into a recession. Homes, $1 million homes are still getting cash offers. We still have the real estate market is buying up left and right. The economy is still steaming along with not really any great signs of pullback other than out of control inflation. People are still paying the prices of out of control inflation. And the stock market is climbing to unforeseen levels. That's just straight up. So it's creating this little interesting situation we are in with just unimaginable capital gains. What's my outlook on gold the rest of the year? I don't follow gold all that much, but I think a lot of it will have to do with what's going to happen in the next 4 months or so with the election and with the rate cuts, because we're entering a very volatile time. I think this fall should be one of the more volatile falls we've seen in a long time, because we've got not only a contentious election, which I think will have an outcome that nobody can foresee, and two, we've got rate cuts. So we're shifting into a new federal policy. So I think gold, precious metals, oil, rates, bonds, all those things that are connected to the economy, I think will show a lot of volatility. I can't foresee the direction of gold, but I think it'll be a very volatile, volatile. Sounds like you got peanut butter in your mouth. When all these liquidity bans on ES go away, they used to never be there, only on NASDAQ. I don't think. I mean, they've been on there for as long as I've known, so I don't know. The reason why they're there now and they're so visual right now is that they're relatively strong compared to what we're seeing. Normally, we have at least a couple of levels of liquidity that are like 500, 600, 700. We've got nothing right now. So by comparison, these little algos that are above the bid and the ask are big compared to what we normally see. But the bigger levels get far enough away, the lighter these colors get. What do you expect IV to be in the AM? Thinking about a strangle for IV pump. And a long strangle is not a terrible idea here because IV is so incredibly low. And normally for CPIs, we're getting at least high 20s, maybe 31% IV on these moves. So getting an IV pump from 12% to 31 may just give you some protection. It may not make you profitable, but it might give you some protection against a little bit choppier move. Now your risk putting on that play, obviously, is that the fact that the market will just pin flat, because right now we're barely moving at all. But if you can get a directional move that doesn't reverse with IV pump and close it out before the CPI target, it may be a decent play. Is it smart to invest long term right now? We're not at all-time highs. It's a valid question. I just don't know the answer to it, Alex. You know, to me, it really depends on your target. Are you investing for the 30-year time frame? Are you 25 years old looking to invest until you're 60? It's always a good time to buy. Now, this market has never done this before, so at what point are we going to come back down? I don't know. So, you know, at one point, yeah, you could get a less than stellar entry up here, but at the same time, there are people who wanted to close out positions last year, and you would have missed on 1,000 points of movement. So who knows how far this market's going to go? It could go to 6,000. It could go to 6,200 before a pullback. Who knows? That's why I'm saying, like, being a long-term investor is the way to go. But you know, who knows what's going to happen? Do you think we're at all-time highs? Is there cheap names out there? In the mega caps, certainly not. The mega caps are all bloated to incredible degrees. So I don't know. The best thing you can do in a long-term portfolio is to add some speculation, diversify your sectors, add in some real estate, and then now in this environment begin to build in some treasury positions. I do think the bonds are going to fly eventually. They're not going to stay down this long because the market, the bloodline of the economy and the market are the bonds. And the bonds can't stay down to these levels forever. I guess they could, and if something changes, I'm not a political science major, but I think they could, and I think it's good to have a little treasury exposure right now. So the best thing to do is not necessarily be fearful of a market pullback, is to have a diversified portfolio on which you can have a little bit of protection built in and take advantage of some weak sectors right now, of which the main one is the treasury market. But I'm right along with you, man. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, my thesis of the market coming back down on touching 3,600 is now becoming an extreme call. You know, back when I was first founded that thesis in late 23, early 24, it wasn't that far away. But now we're talking 2,000 points. It's coming up on a 50% haircut of the market, which I don't think is going to happen. I would expect 25 to 30% at the most. So, NVIDIA new high of the day. Apple's coming off. VIX is not moving. Get it, want some gabagoo. Two. So get this. I'm looking through three. All right, three of them. I'm looking through all of the predictions for the 2024 end of year predictions. Like 60, 70 posts in there. 3 people are left. Only 3 people have not had their targets blow already. And one of which is because he put a very, very, very high target, like in the mid 6,000s. All right. Looking at my long-term port keeps me happy when trading. Yep. I check my TSP once a week now. Usually I haven't touched it in a year, but I look at it once a week now. I think we're about to pass 20% on the TSP. It's ridiculous. You know, TSPs are not supposed to gain 6+ figures every 6 months in value, but it's doing that. It's ridiculous. It's out of control. That's kind of what made me go down the rabbit hole last week. Is think about the average American is now getting access to absurd amounts of capital, and then taking loans against that capital as collateral. HELOCs, personal loans, collateral loans. Look, it's like the what's it called? The CDOs that they were talking about in that movie, The Big Short, where it's just debt on top of debt being leveraged against leverage. Ghost liquidity. Is it better to just buy and hold and never touch it, or is it better to try and time the cycles? Buy and hold and never touch it. Let the people in the S&P be the smart ones, because the S&P is constantly reallocated. Nearly every week they reallocate the top 10 S&P. So that's why for me, about 50% of my portfolio, a little bit more actually, is wrapped up in SPY and QQQ. The rest of it is in individual names that are reallocated by the S&P, a little more structured than I want to see in the S&P, and REITs. So that's why majority, if not all of your portfolio, needs to be in VOO, SPY, QQQ, ETFs. and let them do the reallocation. Just realized I'm still holding on to 11-month DTE put for 440 on this PY. I'll just sell puts against it. I've a lot of dividend managed. I've been a lot in dividend managed portfolio. So returns slightly less than the S&P on average, but down. But on down years doesn't do so bad. Nice. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Yeah, let's look at Bookmap right now. Obviously, very light liquidity on ES, and we're back to the grind here. NASDAQ's got 2,800 iceberg up top here, so we'll see. You're welcome. I was thinking about jumping in for long term and selling covered calls in case I buy the top. Yeah, I'll get for you. There you go, top cheddar. So, no, you're good. No problem at all. All right, so a little bit of red forming here. I'm trying to track the overall collective picture here of VPA, which is showing still a nice little downtrend on the 15-minute and the 5. We have a support on NASDAQ at 722, which would make us about a 70-point range overall on NASDAQ. I received an insane deposit for my long-term holdings at APY this morning for June. It was shook. Nice. Very cool. Pretty awesome, isn't it? Premium's not moving. Yeah. ES right now is in a 2-point range, a $1.50 range. But at the moment, it is starting to trickle down a little bit. NASDAQ has about 17 more points until it hits lows of the day. Sounds like protein 30 to me, though. Delicious. Yep, we have bond auction later on today, 1 p.m. The ES Bookmap heat map has looked very since the contract rollover. I will give you that. It has looked different since the contract rollover. I do agree with that. In fact, there's been some times I've had to go back and look at June contract right before we right when we switched to make sure I was on the right name. Yeah, buddy. $735. Let's take a look here. Here comes NASDAQ down 734. NVIDIA is climbing. Microsoft is down, Dow, Russell, not a lot of movement. XLF isn't moving at all. So what I'm going to do here, just to kind of protect myself against any kind of major moves, I'm going to put some alerts on the VIX, just in case we do get an outlier move, which so far it's just pinned flat. I'm going to keep an eye on NASDAQ coming down to 721, which is also the prior pivot from a couple of overnight sessions. The overall overnight low, though, is down at 684, which is about 50 points down. Not that crazy with NASDAQ, but in this environment, I'll take it. The GEX on SPX has rolled down to 5600 from 5610. QQQ is 498. Which is a point down. We do have 650 GEX, or not GEX, liquidity. ES has absolutely nothing on the book. Absolutely nothing on the book, except for this iceberg up at the top. I'm telling y'all just need to get to August. That's all. Let's get to August. To me, CPI tomorrow should be a bit more. I'd hope so. Yeah. We have CPI tomorrow and PPI on Friday. There you go. Low key would switch to crypto. We should. I'm fouling balls off and hitting singles all over the place. Not many strikeouts. Keep telling myself these are good things. The homer is coming. Well, you know, a homer is a result of a fortunately placed pitch with good mechanics and a strong swing. It's no different in trading. Waiting for an opportune setup in the market that suits your eye. You put on a position with strong conviction, strong confidence, put on some solid risk management, and the trade goes your way. And that's how you get a homer. So it's not necessarily trying to hit one because you can't control the setups of the market. You just can control your exposure to that setup. So just be patient. Here comes NASDAQ down again, 724. 56.42 on ES. NASDAQ is about to touch support. Not a bad play so far. Rolling down from 795 to 726. Sweep morning low and bounce. More than likely. Yeah. More than likely. Am I short? No, I'm not short. I'm not short. I wish I was short. ES is glued to the 5-minute view after 30 minutes. I took a short on CL82. I watched double zero levels. Used the daily level indicator, but a stop at the overnight high. Could have gained another 10 points. That's all right. That's still a great play. Do I think PPI, CPI will be cooked to justify rate cuts? Probably. Yeah, probably. Let's go, yeah. NASDAQ is holding morning low right here so far. ES, oh, nice breach, excellent. ES is coming off 56.41. Apple's dropping aggressively. NVIDIA's coming off. Microsoft off. Russell's coming off. There's a big red candle on ES right there. Nice. If you're shorter, you'd bench and deadlift more, probably. Is it Mrs. I'm like 5'10"? Yep. She's tall. Or just about the same height. She's just a touch shorter than me. Coming off nicely here. Nice little red. $27.07. NASDAQ's coming off. ES is coming off. Beautifully well right here. Next target is going to be 697 or so on NASDAQ, dropping. Pretty decent move. Help my parents move into the new house. Nice, Mr. 50. Very cool. Matt Fraser is practically a midget. Yeah, he's a good dude, too. Whoa, look at that move. Instant 20-point candle come out of nowhere. Y'all see that? Yep, it's not why you're touching it. Yeah. Retest of morning low right there on NASDAQ. We've got iceberg down to 56.40 and some decent liquidity coming on ES. I don't know what that was, but that was it was quick. It was almost an instant 20-point move, like literally instant. PPT's engaged. What's that bottom right? Tell me that is Bookmap. That is Bookmap right now. So that allows us to track the liquidity flows on the market. Right now, it's a very light book, but it's there. More liquidity coming on at 56.32 as well. My finger is hovering on puts. I'm glad I didn't hit anything. We're in a 10-point range on ES. Looking to breach a little bit lower. NASDAQ, we're still hovering, trying to put in lower prices here. What's up, Rob? How you doing? How was my first half of the year? It was mixed. I had a red March, had an extraordinary April and May. Was very slow, but pretty decent. And this month really is, I guess, neutral. Like, there hasn't been very much going on in July here. A couple of very small plays, but just not much activity at all. Probably the least I've traded in 2 years. Just literally just chilling, waiting for the volatility coming this fall. Had a lot of great swing trades this year, almost perfect record, but I haven't put one on here in about a month and a half, so I'm ready to put on a good swing trade so I can have that feeling back. I'm addicted to that feeling. How about yours? How was your day? Am I going to coach fall ball? I'm not going to coach fall ball. Nope. Our kids have been on about a year and a half straight of playing softball, both spring and fall, so we're taking fall ball off. We're going to do a lot of, kids want to do a lot more camping because we love camping, and we haven't been able to do any of that really because of baseball. So we're taking fall ball off. We're doing a lot of camping, hiking, traveling, not to mention building a house. So it's got a lot going on this fall. All right, so that Insta green candle, which is a high volume bottom wick on the NASDAQ, is leading to 20 points of upwards here. I'm sorry, I meant to switch over to the 15, which now we have a nice 15-minute bottom wick, and the 60-minute, obviously, aggressive bottom wick. Been riding iron butterflies these past days. Nice. The daily RSI hit 80 today on SPY. It's only happened 3 other times. Anybody track RSI that can confirm that? I think what I may do here is put on a far outside the money October put and go ahead and start turning it into a PCS And if we start to get any selling, just wipe the short call off, just to have some exposure on here. Because we're at heavily inflated prices entering a period of volatility. I'm not putting that position on with hopes of going down. I'm putting that position on so I can begin to write puts against it all the way up. I think I may do that. And if we do start to actually absolutely smoke the downside, then I'll just collect. Just to have something on here, because I'm barely even trading here. I need to make a little bit of money. I'm talking about peanuts over here. I've been doing that for months now. That's the way to go. Yeah. I think that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm sure y'all don't want to hear me sitting here calling out 1-point candles. One-to-one ratio, like 1 put, 1 October. Not necessarily 1-to-1 ratio. It'll be varying degrees of ratio depending on confidence. But I still have to keep it within the managed leverage, because I don't want to end up having any kind of short exposure on the books. It'll have to be covered. Close this baby out today. You're better at managing trades than me. Eats peas, lemon squeezy. What you got? Multi-level PCS. Long, short 480. So about what? Anywhere between 20 to 30 points. Premiums. That's pretty cool. Look at that. I love it. Easy peas, lemon squeezy, right? I'm layering more and more shorts and longs as time goes in close to the expiration. It's beautiful. One trade, one loss done for the day. Nice, Damien. That's all right. Gonna hit the gym. I'm Jones to trade out at the boredom. Yeah, don't do that. SPY puts, I'll be doing SPX. Yeah. So that's a fantastic way to trade in this market, and probably one of the best ways to do this in this market. The opportunity for the normal plays we've been taking is not there this summer, and that to me is the best way to go about doing this. That way we can come on here, manage a couple of trades. If I need to hop off early, we can come back on, whatever, chillax. I've had to stop putting collagen in my protein shakes. It makes it super thick. Like you put collagen in a blender with protein and ice and stuff, turns it into like ice cream. I don't have the cojones to leave them past 2. What do you say is a good way to trade? What Mr. 50 was just talking about, what I plan on doing here in a day or two, if not today, is I plan on putting on a long-term position. You could even do either calendar spreads or broken condor, stuff like this, where you put on, I'm going to put on a probably October-ish, pretty far outside the money put on SPX long, and then just short premium against it to layer in a bunch of short positions against that to collect in the event that we either go sideways or continue higher. And again, what you have to realize is that I'm not putting on this put for anticipation of downside, although I do expect some profit taking. I'm not putting on for the purpose of the market just getting smoked. I'm putting it on there in the instance that we do go down, I have exposure. And 2, I can just write premium against all on any kind of days like this and not even worry about this range. I'm happy to see this chop instead of now being aggravated by it. I'll try it. Yeah, do it on a paper account for sure. Am I seeing 480, 490? That's a tick up, than 490 to 500, same thing. So in the event, like let's for example, right there, I'd have to get into the SPY option chain and become a little bit more um, used to their premiums. But let me look. If I could get stuff down in that area, that would be fantastic. I would love to get something in the 520-ish area, if not 510. That would put about a 400 point pressure on ES and a 45 points on the SPY. There's natural defense built into the market. If I could get under 514, that would be extraordinary. That is long-term POC and major support in the market. So you have natural defense in the market, and you could lay in there. So that's what I'd like to do if I could get premium for it, and then layer in as much as I can to the top side. I think I'm going to do that because I've grown my account. I haven't taken a withdrawal in a bit, and I've grown my account with the April and May profits that I can start playing these positions. And if I do need to cover naked, I can, but I don't want to. So I think I'm going to start doing that, and then I can still have a lot more room left over for any kind of scalping once the volatility does come back, because that's what's on my radar, is that I do expect volatility to come back into the fall months, and then I think volatility will greatly expand into the end of the year as we shift policies. And I need to be ready for that. All right, Mr. 50. Someone say naked. Oh my gosh. SMCI looks like it wants to push up and away. Nice. Oh man. Coming up in Euro close. What strike will I consider? I'm not sure yet. I'll have to look. My dad's an old war vet. Then he ran liquor stores here in the States. He ran up and down and punched people all the time. He shot at customers while I was growing up. That dude must be tough as nails, man. NASDAQ, holding 2727. buddy has a liquor store in the Bronx. Not sure how he's still alive. Oof. Tough to manage as a senior citizen. Now he's moved to a Sun City neighborhood. Oh my gosh, love it. All right, well, we're kind of back to the grind here. Not much going on. I'm just looking through the option chain as we're moment and looking for my strikes, playing my strategy, and doing a little summer shift until August. Not expecting a dump today, but I do feel NASDAQ will close red. It's overdue for a pullback. That's true. It is aggressively. $56.55, $56.40 here. It's been overdue for a while. You know. 240-minute chart right now is printing this range off of 796 red candles. And we're looking like a, I would like at least a 589 test. Let's call it 590 test on NASDAQ. But look at the daily ranges, man. Just complete contraction of the daily range. The volume is abysmal. Time to mow the lawn. We've got 8 minutes left in the stream for Bookmap. If you have any further questions, let me know. Shouldn't be much going on now. All the GEX right now is, we have big time positive gamma exposure today, which is indicative of slower price action. SPY is 557, QQQ 498. Taking a look at the options flow from earlier today, AVGO is the big green dog, NVIDIA is the big red dog, and Apple is somewhere in the middle. Full port longs, yeah. Back in Vietnam, they used to show old Charles Bronson movies. Old school Vietnamese love that stuff. Nice. Does anyone know if Top Step is giving out a free reset? I don't know. Anyone? Bueller? I heard they were doing a free reset today, or this week at least. I don't know which day. Powell says you don't want to wait until inflation gets all the way back down to 2% to ease the policy. Yep, because you'll put us into a depression if you do that. Gonna take some more calls. Nice, Ethan. How much is Bookmap? It depends. There's a whole range of pricing. You can go as cheap as, I mean, you can go as cheap as you want or as expensive as you want. Depends how much you're going to utilize it. With everything for me, it's right under $200 a month for everything. But I have literally everything you can have for Bookmap. So, I mean, I have the Global Plus, I have the MBO package, I have the stops and icebergs indicators, I've got Market Pulse, I've got everything you can get for Bookmap. Now, you can get it as low as $15, $16 a month, but that's just going to be for like your futures and stuff like that. It really depends on what you are looking for. So I'd encourage you to go take a look at the website. You know what you trade. If you trade crypto, you could do that and just price it out. All right. All right. Any questions before we sign off here? So, still very slow price action. Y'all have my theme and what I'm looking to do here. Most likely we'll start entering in this leg today. I'm going to look at a little bit more information and pick out a proper strike and start building a strategy on what I can get for deltas. After that, I'll post it and we'll go from there. So if you have any questions, let me know about Bookmap or trades or anything else for that matter, or strategy. If not, I will see you all bright and early tomorrow. We have CPI tomorrow. We have bonds today at 1 o'clock. We have PPI on Friday. So, yeah, got a lot going on. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm out. See you.